The Bible says that, Paul says in Romans a lot of things, but he says we'll be judged by the gospel, by his gospel. What is that gospel? Because he just pointed out that all sin. So your gospel is, well, we don't sin anymore, and if we believe in Jesus, we can go to heaven. Except Paul also points out that there is no one who doesn't sin, and that people who sin are judged, but we're going to be judged by the gospel. So the gospel is that it doesn't matter how much you sin, you go to heaven from the faith of Jesus. Which that, in one version it says faith of Jesus, because that faith does not come even of you, it's of Jesus. That everything about grace is nothing of us. If grace has anything to do with us following the law, it's no longer grace. If Jesus didn't pay the price and it's because of us following the law, then it's not grace. Now we're the ones paying for it. We're just earning it. That we're working, we're working. And now we're just getting paid for what we did. It has nothing, it's not grace. Paul all over, does this mean that we can just sin? No. Like every time he points out, hey guys, we're saved, he literally says only an ungodly person can be justified by faith. A person without works can be justified. It actually says that word for word. But what's going on is that it's just faith. I forget what I was going to say, but there's another point that I've been wondering. Do you have a list of all the sins that you cannot commit and get into heaven? Because in order to have the faith that some of you have, you're like, oh, unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. And then it lists a bunch of sins. Well, first of all, the list of sins that it mentions are pretty common sins that pretty much any unbeliever is going to be committing, which I might add, I was thinking of this and I was like, I wonder if I'm sure there's some really bad sins that are not on that list. I was just kind of had that idea the other day. And I'm like, if you're saying that there's some sort of sin preventing you from getting to heaven, and you don't actually know what those sins are, but you will have the faith that, the ones that these say are for sure, these ones. But it's like, there's still some sins that are really bad that aren't on that list. So it's like, and then there's also all the other sins, because you know that you are a sinner. Everyone is a sinner. So what other sins could possibly prevent you from getting to heaven? Because now you actually don't know if you're going to go to heaven. Now, first of all, what I have mentioned in a past video is when it says, do not be deceived, people who do these things will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. I think a generalized idea of this is that's just to show that you can know an unbeliever will not go into heaven. Like, people are wondering, do I actually have to believe in Jesus to get to heaven? And then Paul says this verse, I don't know necessarily specifically, but I think what it is saying is Paul's like, no, don't be deceived. Those unbelievers, they're not going to heaven. They actually commit all these sins, and you know it. They know it. We know it. These unbelievers are doing all these things. They're not getting to heaven. We need Jesus. Only by Jesus can we get into heaven. Now, I want to mention one sin that is not mentioned on that list, for instance, murder. It's like not all these Gentiles, unbelievers that were like, oh, are they actually good? It's like, no, they commit sexual immorality, reviling, idolaters, blah, 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 witchcraft. It says all those things. I know that. And it's like, that's these all, pretty much every single one of that, the be not deceived, the unrighteous. It's basically pretty general sins that almost all these Gentiles are doing. And once again, it says the unrighteous, and what does Paul say all over? No, none is righteous, no, not one. The only way that we can even be righteous is because Jesus imputes his righteousness onto us. So we're not actually unrighteous. We can actually even commit these and not be unrighteous because we have Jesus. What Paul is trying to emphasize is only by faith in Jesus can you go into heaven. Now in Revelation, is there some sins it does actually mention that are the pretty bad ones, such as murder. Like it actually does mention murder in the Revelation one. It also says liars. Like, do you know God does not stand for any form of lying? But I know a lot of gospel preachers who will lie in sermons, whether it be for a joke, whether it be to teach their kids, whether it be any number of things. Maybe they unintentionally lie, thinking, oh, this is a truth, whether it be, they think they teach something as truth that might not even be true, but they teach it as truth. And are you sure there's not a single thing that you've lied about that you have not confessed? So, however you look at it, there's either going to be some sins not on that list you've committed, and how do you even know you're in heaven? There may be even sins on that list you have, and you actually don't know. Actually, you should know that you're not. I don't know, but you don't even have, like, you don't know if you're getting to heaven because you don't actually have faith. You don't have faith. And it's by faith we've been saved. It's by grace through faith we have been saved. And you don't actually even have faith. You don't actually certain you can get into heaven because what is there a list of sins? Is one of those sins that you do that because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God and you're not actually going to get into heaven? Are you even committing some of those sins?